There's a historical medieval castle where the legend says lived a beautiful princess and a werewolf. One day, a lonely tourist walks in there to take some photos. To his surprise, the princess is actually there. She greets him but says the werewolf hates any visitors, so she has to hide him. She then takes him to a secret room in the basement and locks the door. However, when she checks on him the next day, she sees that he's turned into a werewolf too. How did the werewolf find out about him? The princess is the werewolf. After a long day at work, Jamie arrived home only to find a burglar had broken into his house. Once he headed to his bedroom, he realized that the burglar was actually still inside his house. How did he figure that out? Take a look at the t-shirts that's hanging on the handle of his wardrobe. It keeps moving slightly. However, the windows are shut and the air conditioner is off, so there's no way any wind may be causing that. It must be the thief hiding inside the wardrobe. Check if Jamie is still in the room or not. Carrie is invited to a spooky-themed costume party. When she arrives there, she sees 3 people dressed as ghosts, but 2 of them are actually real ghosts. Can you tell who's human? Do you see the first lady? She has no shadow despite the light coming from her back. So she must be a real ghost. And notice that the light just passes through the arm of the third guy? He must be a real ghost too. So the second lady is human. The police department called Inspector Kim to solve a robbery case. The thief was last seen entering the graveyard with the sack of gold he had stolen from the jewelry store. They were able to catch the robber, but he was not revealing where he'd hidden the gold. Inspector Kim headed to the graveyard to investigate the scene, and he immediately found where the robber hid the gold. Can you? Take a look at the dates on these 3 gravestones. The second and the third look normal, but the first gravestone says this person lived from 1860 to 2020, and that's impossible. So, that must be some cover the robber made to bury and hide all the gold. The police officers called Inspector Kim for duty once again when 3 houses all next to each other were robbed on the main street. Inspector Kim questioned the owners of each of the houses to see if they'd seen something suspicious. The first man said he had not been inside his house when the thief broke in. The second man said he had been on the second floor listening to music with his headphones on, so he hadn't heard anything. And the third man said he'd been taking a shower, so he hadn't heard anything either. Inspector Kim could immediately tell that one of them was lying. Can you? It's the second man. He said he was on the second floor, but the house is a 1-story house. Aaron was traveling on his motorcycle when he came across 3 different roads. The first one goes through a forest where all kinds of wild animals are waiting for their prey. The second road is the shortest, but it's all pitch black. And the third road goes through the river where the current of the water is extremely high. Which road should he choose? The answer is the second road, of course. He's driving his motorcycle, remember? He can easily use its headlight to see around and find his way. Lee and his best friend are trapped inside a haunted house for the night because a sudden snowstorm overtook the creepy town. All the doors and windows have become barricaded with piles of snow. Lee and his friends need to find a way to stay warm. After searching the entire house, they find 3 stoves: a coal stove, a wooden stove, and a gas stove. However, they have only 1 match. What should they light first to survive the night? The match, of course. Take a look around this house. there are 3 signs that suggest it's being haunted. Can you spot them? Do you see that some invisible hand is writing something on the foggy window? Then there's a cat, which is acting scared, although it seems like there's nothing in front of it. And lastly, this statue is blinking. Allison was suspecting that her house was being haunted. After she did some research on the best Ghostbusters and monster hunters in the city, she brought down her options to 3. Take a look at the newspaper ads of all 3 of them. Which one should she choose? The Ghostbuster in the photo is posing with the zombie he caught. But take a closer look at the zombie's arm here. You can see his real human skin peeking through. That means he's actually wearing makeup, and he's not a real zombie. As for the third Ghostbuster posing with the ghost he caught, do you see the hologram machine behind him? That means he's also faking it. So, the best option is the second Ghostbuster, who is not posing with any kind of monster and is not trying to trick anyone. After the Ghostbuster arrived at Allison's house, they started checking on all the rooms together. Once they entered the bathroom, the Ghostbuster immediately knew that the ghost was hiding there. How did she do it? Do you see the footprints on the floor? But Allison was wearing her house slippers all this time, and the Ghostbuster had her shoes on. So those definitely don't belong to either of them, which can only mean they belong to the ghost. Florence went to the clothing store to buy herself a new dress. As she was waiting for her turn to use the dressing rooms, her eyes caught 2 strange-looking people who were also doing some shopping. However, it seemed like one of them was actually a ghost. Can you tell which one? Take a look at their reflections in the mirror behind them. The first lady's reflections look perfectly fine, but the second lady's reflection shows her face and everything, whereas it's supposed to show her back, so she must be a ghost. Caitlin was driving to her parents' house across the country, but on the way, she took a wrong turn and lost her way. She ended up on some narrow and lonely road. Suddenly, a security guard stopped her and said, "You're on private-owned farmlands, so I can't let you pass. But I'll direct you to the main road if you answer my riddle. I protect the crops, I stand tall, and my purpose is to strike fear in all. What am I?" The answer is a scarecrow. Danny was sitting at the bench enjoying his drink when he saw 3 people coming out of the sea. However, something about them felt strange to him. One of them was actually a sea monster. Can you tell who? It's this third guy. Do you see his footprints on the sand? They start out as a weird webbed foot shape, only to turn into a human footprint later. Friendly Ghost Casper's father had 3 sons. The names of 2 of them were Stretchy and Stinky. What was the third son called? He was called Casper, of course. Danny got lost in the woods, and he was feeling very tired and hungry. After a while, he finally came across a house that was made of candies. He couldn't resist and took a bite from it. At that moment, a witch appeared and said,
"How dare you eat my house? I will punish you unless you answer this riddle correctly. Ancient knowledge few can know. In the night is where I roam. Vermin I grab in my flight. No one can hide from my sight. What am I?"
The correct answer is an owl.
Jeremiah is on the run from the police. He stole several large gold bars from the bank. He has 3 gold bars in his arms, each weighing 20 pounds. In fact, there's a way for him to get away with that. All he needs to do is to cross a bridge. But here's the kicker. The bridge can only support 200 pounds. The 3 bars of gold weigh 60 pounds, and Jeremiah weighs 160 pounds. How can he cross the bridge without getting rid of any of the bars? Seems like to do so, one of the bars should literally float in the air. To make it happen, Jeremiah must juggle them. This way, only 2 bars will be acting on the bridge, while the third one will be airborne. Voila! 160 plus 20 plus 20 equals 200. So the bridge isn't likely to let Jeremiah down. You're playing dodgeball with 2 other people, Arnie and Preston. You're standing in a triangle, and you all take turns throwing a ball at one of the others of your choosing until only one person is remaining. You have a 30% chance of hitting someone you aim at. Arnie has a 50% chance, and Preston a 100% chance. Yeah, this guy never misses. If you hit somebody, they are out and no longer get a turn. If the order of throwing is you, Arnie, and then Preston, what should you do to have the best chance of winning? First, you gotta miss the first time on purpose. If you try to hit Arnie and you do hit him, then Preston goes next and he will 100% hit you and you will lose for sure. If you aim at Preston and hit him, then Arnie will go for you. If you miss on your first turn, Arnie will go for Preston for sure because he's a stronger player. If he hits him, then it's just you and Arnie, but you are going first. If he misses, then Preston will hit Arnie and it will be just you and Preston. But again, in this case, you are going first. It will be a 30% chance, but this way, you're in the finals. A man wants to enter an exclusive club, but he doesn't know the password. Another man walks to the door, and the doorman says 12. The man says 6, and is let in. Another man walks up, and the doorman says 6. The man says 3 and is let in. Thinking he has heard enough, he walks up to the door and the doorman says 10, he says 5, and he isn't let in. What should he have said? Three. He should have said how many letters were in the number he said. A thief enters a high-end boutique and frightens the shop assistant, forcing him to open the safe. The shop assistant says, "The code for the safe is different every day, and if you try to do anything to me, you'll never get the code." But the thief manages to guess the code on his own. How did he do it? That thief was smart. The code is different. The shop assistant told him this. A woman is found alone in the middle of the desert. She's surrounded by a pile of debris and a wrecked plane. There are no other signs of life in the area. Despite the crash, the woman is alive and well. Nothing serious happened to her, and she appears to be in good health. How did she survive? Look closer. The woman wasn't on the plane when it crashed. She survived by jumping out of the airplane with a parachute before it crashed. Two fathers and their 2 sons go fishing together. They each catch 1 fish to take home with them. They do not lose any fish, and yet when they get home, they only have 3 fish. How can this happen? There are just 3 people, a grandfather, his son, and his grandson. A super wealthy businessman, Mr. Ben Swift, was taken and left locked up all alone in a dark room. His phone almost ran out of charge, so he can write only one message. He knows that someone might spy on his phone, so he decided to write a message with a code to a high school friend, John Smith, who has a detective agency. He remembered that in high school, they would cipher messages to each other, shifting one letter to the right each time they needed to write a secret code. So, check this out. Can you guess what it means? It's not gibberish. The message is, "It was my accountant." You were wandering in the jungle, and all of a sudden, you saw a magnificent antique castle. You enter it and see its inhabitants. It's kind of hard to say if they're friendly or not, but hey, look, they just fetched you some snacks. Still, you can tell from their grins that these snacks must be a trap for you. You can't say no to them and need to choose something to eat. There are 4 muffins before you, all looking yummy, and your mouth is watering. One of the dwellers, who seems to be their leader, tells you that the first muffin has some fermented cabbage inside. The second one is swarming with live ants, the third one has mud instead of chocolate cream, and the fourth one has ackee fruit inside. So, which dessert would you opt for? A muffin with fermented cabbage may sound weird and not dessert-like, but it's safe. You've tried fermented cabbage, also known as kimchi, before, and you loved it. For those who love to risk, the fourth one could be good to go too. Ackee fruit is delicious when cooked properly, but you weren't sure if the dwellers took care of cooking it well. As for ants and mud muffins, I'd pass on them for sure. Mary is a nail technician. Her services are free to anyone who wants to set up an appointment with her. However, most people still end up paying here. How so? Mary only does one hand for free, so most people who come to get her services end up paying the full price. They don't really want to look bizarre with the nails done only on one hand. Jocelyn went grocery shopping and bought a lot of milk, yogurts, meat, and cheese. When she came back home, she realized she had nowhere to store all these products, as her fridge was already full. How can she save all the food that she bought? Jocelyn needs to order stuff in her fridge. Look, here's a pack of rice, some chips, and even cookies. These products don't need to be stored in the fridge. Once she takes it all out of the fridge, she'll have enough space to store dairy products and meat. Phil's teacher is a great person, but like many other people, he has some oddities. He would never let Phil go home until he solves one of his tricky riddles. This time, the riddle is, how many apples in total are there on a pine if there are 5 apples on each branch and there are 8 branches on the tree? Okay, this one was easy. There are no apples on a pine. There are cones. Poor Kathy lived with a stepmother and 3 wicked stepsisters. Sounds familiar. Her dream was to go to a lit party she's been waiting for all year long. Her stepmother, Evelyn, never let Kathy go anywhere. This time, Evelyn decided to let Kathy go when she has finished all the tasks given by Evelyn. The stepmother asked Kathy to bring her some water, but she gave her a colander to carry water in. How can Kathy bring the water if she has nothing but a colander? Kathy needs to freeze some water and put it in the colander. It takes some time to melt, But when Evelyn gets that colander full of ice, technically, she'll have a colander full of water. Hey Kathy, make sure to be back by midnight. You need a ride?
All kinds of monsters now live among people, and we need to keep an eye on them. Some of them blend in pretty well, so you need to keep your eyes wide open to recognize them.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the first pair. Can you tell which of them is a ghost? Well, look, this dude has left footprints, so that's definitely not him, but the other guy. Next up, a vampire. Can you figure out which person at the party it is? It's this dude. He doesn't cast a shadow, unlike everyone else. Here are two girls. Can you figure out which of them is a werewolf? The lady on the left has hairy legs, but it's not a crime. Meanwhile, the right lady has left some scratches on the wall because she's the werewolf. Jennifer and Emma want to get into an exclusive nightclub. Unfortunately, not everyone is welcome. At the entrance, security is asking for a password. Can you help them figure out what the password is? Pay attention to the guy's shirt. Those symbols should mean something. A B, an A, a rock, and a star. Be a rock star must be the password. Esme was walking in a forest, and guess what? She got lost. After a bit of walking around, she found the house of her old friend, the witch. She pet the cat and asked the witch to take her home. As always, the witch had a riddle for Esme.
The answer is in your head before you even think of it. It may lead you to the wrong answers, but it is itself ultimately correct.
So what is it? Of course, that's a brain! A clothes store manager noticed that some things had started to disappear. At first, he thought it was a mistake, but the problem persisted for months, and he invested in security cameras. After half a year, he reviewed the footage. Can you take a look at it and figure out what's been happening to the clothes? Look at this pregnant lady with a big belly. In half a year, she would have already given birth. But she keeps showing up like this, which probably means that the belly is fake, and she uses it to steal clothes. Taylor was craving her favorite cookies that were only sold in one particular store outside the town. She was going to work, but her boyfriend had a day off, and she asked him to go get the cookies for her. When she came home, the cookies weren't there. Taylor's boyfriend said that the cookies had been sold out by the time he'd made it there. Taylor knew that he hadn't left the house. How did she figure it out? The store is outside town, so her boyfriend would have to go by car. But the car is covered in snow, just like it was when she was leaving, which means that he didn't use it. On Wednesday, a high school student, Margot, went missing. She left after the first lesson, feeling sick, and didn't make it home. There are 3 suspects: Mrs. Adams, the director, Mr. Jones, the janitor, and Mrs. Smith, a school cook. Mrs. Adams said, "Margot's mother called me, and I gave the girl permission to leave." Mr. Jones said, "I'm not exactly sure what Margot looks like." Mrs. Smith reported, "I saw the girl at lunch. She looked quite ill and only got a yogurt." Who should be taken for further interrogation? Mrs. Smith, the cook.
Oh, no.
Margot left after the first lesson, so she couldn't be there at lunch. In a parallel universe, it was only allowed to have fun and eat candy. No one ever read or studied. Mrs. Relham came back home after a long and fun day at a club. Her 3 daughters were supposed to have fun too. When the woman returned, she noticed that someone had done some gardening instead. Hannah said, "I was watching movies all day." Elle said, "I went camping with friends." Ava said, "I was in my room playing Uno." Mrs. Relham could tell that one of her daughters was lying. Who was it? It was Ava. She would need someone to play Uno with. She couldn't do it by herself. Now let's take a small break and test your attention. Look, here's a ball and 3 cups. I'll put the ball here in the cup on the very left. Your task is to watch the ball and then tell me where the ball is. Let's go. So, where's the ball? Look, it's here. Did you get it right? Let's do it again. Now I have 4 cups and I'll be moving faster. I put the ball right here. Watch it. So where do you think it is? It's in this cup. And let's make it almost impossible and see if you can get it now. 5 cups, so watch closely. What's your bet? It's right here. Great job! At sunset, Sadie was walking along the beach and found a bottle with a message inside. Can you help her figure out the cipher? This cipher was first used by Julius Caesar, so it's called a Caesar box. To decipher the message, you need to divide the code into 5 groups of 5 and rearrange them vertically, like this. And now you just need to read it vertically, column by column. Allison, a mom of 3, came back home after a long day at work and went to the kitchen to make dinner. Well, someone had already had one, a chocolate paste sandwich. See those breadcrumbs and some chocolate on the knife? Her daughters knew that no sweet snacks were allowed before dinner, so Allison went upstairs and found her 3 daughters doing homework. Can you tell which of them ate the chocolate paste sandwich? It's this girl with chocolate stains on her shirt. While Mr. Coleman, a rich gentleman, was on vacation, his mansion got robbed. The security was notified and a detective started the investigation. All the people who had been to the house were interrogated. Jack, Mr. Coleman's best friend and business partner, reported that he had visited the house a couple of times to pick up the mail and get a couple of important documents from his office. John, the gardener, said that he had come every week to take care of the garden. Ben, the cleaner, said that he had come every Wednesday to clean the house. The detective took fingerprints of each of the suspects, as well as some fingerprints from Mr. Coleman's office. Take a good look at them and try to figure out who should be arrested. As you see, all three kinds of fingerprints were found in the office. But while Jack and Ben had a reason to be there, the gardener did not. So, he must be the thief. Violet, Rose, Scarlet, and Hazel are best friends hanging out at a party. The four of them wear dresses of respective colors, but none of them wears the color reflected in her name. They study economics, English, chemistry, and medicine. Can you figure out which dress each of them is wearing? Here's some available information. Scarlet is younger than both the girl in pink and the one studying English. The girl in pink, the girl in red, and Hazel speak Spanish. The economics student, who is not Rose, is engaged to the brother of the girl in purple. The English student and the girl in purple love coffee. The girl studying economics, the girl studying medicine, and the girl in pink live on the same street. Okay, here's the solution. Hazel doesn't wear hazel because that's the color of her name. We also know that she can't be the girl in pink or red, so she's wearing purple. Now, from statements 1 and 5, we know that the girl in pink doesn't study English, economics, or medicine. So, she studies chemistry. Now, the girl in purple doesn't study economics or English. So then, she studies medicine. Rose isn't an economics student and also can't study chemistry because she isn't wearing pink. And Violet can't study medicine because it's the subject the girl in purple studies. Scarlet doesn't wear pink and doesn't study English, so Scarlet wears hazel. Then Rose wears red and Violet wears pink. Edward and Stan are best friends. Edward lives with his wife, Leah, and Stan lives alone. Can you spot Stan's house? There's a love note on the fridge in the right kitchen. Therefore, Stan lives in the left one. Edward is furious because Leah cleaned his home office without permission. Can you spot 5 changes? Here they are. A lot of neighbors gather for Edward's garage sale. One of them is a robot. Can you guess who? This gentleman. Stan is visiting a food court and finds 2 similar bakeries. Can you spot 5 differences between them? Over here. What about these burger places? Can you find 10 differences? Here they are. Can you spot a mistake in this menu? Tuna isn't an ice cream. What about this coffee menu? Any mistakes? Free toppings have a price. Stan works in an agency that holds super secret investigations. They're looking for people with superpowers all over the planet. One day, an anonymous user broke into their corporate system where all the data was stored. Stan finds 3 suspects who are capable of such crimes and interrogates them. He asks only one question. What did you manage to find out when you stole the data? Billy says, I haven't done this kind of crime for 15 years. I don't want to go back to prison. Anna says, I was going to steal your data, but I changed my mind. You didn't have any valuable information. Nobody will believe in superheroes. And Liam replies, Bruh, if I committed such a crime, I would have covered all traces. Who's lying? Anna. She couldn't have learned the secret information without breaking into their system. Stan is visiting a fashion show. He received a clue that one of these models can be a robot. Can you guess who? The second lady. She has a USB outlet on her neck. The robot model, Nina, is very famous, and nobody knows that she's not human. Stan invites her to his office. Nina confesses, I arrived from another planet to study human behavior. Unfortunately, someone recorded their secret interrogation and posted it online. Only 4 people were in the office at that moment. Stan questions them. Ryan, the cleaner, says, I was vacuuming the 5th floor and couldn't hear anything. Mia, the manager, says, I'm a huge fan of Nina, even though she's not a human. I would never set her up like that. And the guard, Billy, says, I didn't hear your conversation. I was watching a football match in my headphones. Who's lying? Ryan. Their office is a 4-story building. Nina invites Stan over for dinner. She lives in a big, circular house with a maid, a butler, and a gardener. Nina goes to her room to change. Suddenly, Stan hears her scream and runs to her. Oh no, someone broke into my safe and stole my diamond necklace. Stan interrogates the staff. The butler says he was organizing the library. The maid says that she was dusting the corners. And the gardener says she was watering the roses. Who is lying? The maid. She was dusting the corners, but Nina lives in a circular house. So there are no corners. Stan invites Nina to a fancy restaurant to refute rumors that she's a robot. Can you spot any mistakes in this menu? They confused pomegranate with meat. Stan leaves the table to wash his hands and returns in 2 minutes. Can you spot 5 changes? Here they are. Nina slips and falls on the floor. Now she needs to replace a broken fragment in her body as soon as possible. Stan takes her to a secret lab. They need to enter a 3-digit code to open the door. He starts looking for clues and notices some tips written on the wall. But the last digit is erased. Can you help them crack the password? The digits indicate the points of intersections of the lines. So the last digit is 4. They open the door and enter a spacious hallway. A note on the wall says, Lab is behind the purple door. Can you help the guys find the purple door? The first door is wooden, but it has an inscription and an arrow indicating that the purple door is on the right. The second door is painted blue and red, so it doesn't fit. Let's take a closer look at the third door. There is purple color under the layer of yellow paint, so the guys choose this door. Nina throws a party at her house and invites Stan. He receives an anonymous message. There's a werewolf among the guests. Can you find this person? The first lady is wearing very long nails, and the second guy has a heavy beard. But it doesn't prove anything. But let's take a look at the third lady. She's trying to hide her shiny yellow wolf eyes under her fancy sunglasses. In the kitchen, Stan meets 3 chefs preparing delicious meals. One of them is a criminal. Can you guess who? The third lady. She's adding glass fragments to the food. Stan calls the police and they arrest the third chef. She confesses that one of the guests, John, bribed her. He asked her to put glass in Stan's plate, but there are 3 Johns at the party. The officer asks one of them just one question. How do you know Stan? John 1 says, I'm a billionaire and I don't do interrogations without my lawyer. John 2 says, I came here to see Nina because she's my crush. I've never seen Stan before. And John 3 says, Stan and I went to the same college. I haven't seen him for many years, but today we met by chance. Who's lying? John 1. He's wearing a fake Gucci sweater. It's unlikely that he's a billionaire. The next day, Stan wakes up in a dusty basement. A creepy voice says that Stan can pass through one of these 3 doors. Behind the first door, there's a tank with crocodiles. Jungles full of wild animals are hiding behind the second door, and there's a giant blue whale behind the third door. It can easily swallow an adult human. Which door is more or less safe? Stan should pick the third door. Whales can't survive without water. Therefore, it's not a threat. Stan returns to his office and finds out that someone has stolen the most expensive superhero costume from the lab. Only 3 people knew about this artifact and had a key: Mia, Billy, and Rose. Stan questions everyone. Mia says, I was feeling sick yesterday, so I went home. Billy says, I locked the office at 10 p.m. and carried my key with me. And Rose says, I carried out technical testing of the suit in the afternoon. After that, I locked it up and left. Who stole the costumes? Mia. She's wearing a superhero costume under her clothes. Stan offers Mia a deal. If I write your exact weight on a piece of paper, you'll give the costume back. Mia agrees and gives Stan a piece of paper and a pen. In a minute, she returns the costume. How did Stan do it? Stan literally did what he said. He wrote the phrase, your exact weight, on the paper. Stan needs to find new investors for his agency. That's why he's meeting 3 people, and each offers Stan a deal. Mallory says, I used to have unique superpowers when I was little, but I didn't develop them. Now I'm old and rich, and I want to invest in your lab to help people like me. Cherry says, my parents left me billions of dollars. I want to invest in progressive projects. And Alfred says, look, I can help you develop your agency, but I want to have a controlling stake and hire my own staff. One of them is a liar. Can you guess who? Take a closer look at Mallory's hand. She's a robot. Therefore, her story is a lie, because robots don't age.